Hello, Assalamualaikum. Can you hear me?
Waalaikumsalam, Prof. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Prof, there's another 4 more minutes.
Sure. Yeah, that's okay.
Prof,
Sorry?
before we begin, how is the flow, Prof? How long are you going to give a talk and you want to practice the executive summary?
So, short talk.
Uh-huh.
Short talk. I only have 11 slides.
Okay, good.
Okay. Because it has to be more of a discussion rather than just one way.
Yes.
Okay, it will not work otherwise.
Yep.
So, in fact, since you mentioned it, I would like to suggest next time, if we want to do it, we do it more of like a forum rather than a presentation.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Okay.
And then at the end of my talk, I'll have Q&A, right? And then show the examples of the executive summaries. And someone else have sent me their idea for a research project. We just go through those quickly. Point out a few things here and there, and discuss again, not one way. So just so that everybody have a better idea of what FRGS wants.
We have 2 more executive summary actually. Can I submit to you or?
You can send to me. I do not know whether we can do it in time, within the time that we have. But you send it to me, I'll upload it
you
up.
Can select it.
Select means I have to read and think about it, so it can be a little bit. I will not have the time to do that now.
Okay, we'll just do what
but
we can.
I just go through quickly, and then I do as many as we can. Okay. So you send to me on Telegram, and I'll see if we have time. We can do those also. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Prof. Thank you.
Question for me. For the CPD point, do I have to scan there, or you guys are going to do it for me, or what?
Yes,
as a
Prof.
speaker.
You have to scan the CPD point.
So I have to scan. All right. Okay, we'll do that. I will do that now while waiting. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, please. So for the other speakers, if you are you need the CPD point, then please kindly scan the QR code on System HDS profile picture there. We'll begin in 2 minutes time.
Sure. No worries.
I attend the link for attendance on chat.
In the chat group. Okay.
Yeah. I attend.
For some reason, I can't scan the QR code even. I wonder why. Nah, dia keluar masuk text, not going to the website.
Didi, can you please check with Brother Idea?
Okay.
I noticed also that other kuliahs are putting up the poster that you made. So I'm not too sure whether because the other people from other kuliah will be coming in, because my focus will be more on the clinicians, as you mentioned to me, Dr. Roslina. So I'm going to get those there. So maybe a lot of what I said may be very familiar for those from the other kuliah. Right.
Yeah, some of them were in our Zoom today.
Okay, all right, okay. But anyway, if anyone have any questions, feel free to ask. We can always discuss. I have no issues with that. I'm just worried that they might find my talk a bit boring.
No, Prof. Prof, it's already 3 p.m. So shall we
Yeah.
start? Okay.
Okay. And nanti the CPD point will do that later.
Okay, sure, Prof. Nanti I minta brother idea ni.
Okay.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and a very good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming for our talk today. So it's on how to make your FRGS application more fundamental. Thank you so much, Prof. Kamarul, Ariffin, Khalid. So as you all know, he's an orthopedic surgeon in Kuliah Medicine. He's actually he's the one who guided me back in my 2018 FRGS application. I remember Prof. Kamarul spot out a few mistakes in my executive summary. Alhamdulillah, we managed to correct it, and Alhamdulillah, I got the FRGS on that year. Thank you so much, Prof.
Right.
So again, congratulations, Prof, for obtaining the FRGS for last year. So I call upon Prof. Kamarul to deliver to give some points, important points, and to highlight how to make your FRGS application more fundamental, especially for our kuliah, because some clinical studies were not really fundamental, so we need some input from the expert to make it fundamental. So without further delay, Prof, the floor is yours.
Okay.
Please welcome.
Okay, thank you very much for those kind words, Dr. Roslina. And also thank you to Dr. Hidayah for pointing out that I need to scan with the MMA app, not with my phone camera for the CPD point.
Thank you, Dr. Hidayah.
Right. Okay. Okay. So anyway, I'm not too sure if you all know me. Some of you may not, right? So anyway, I've been with the Kuliah for a long while, and so I'll present and talk a little bit more about my experience and about the topic that has been given to me. All right, so let me share my screen first. Okay, so are you able to see my screen? Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, Prof.
Okay, okay, thank you very much, right? Hello, Prof. Jamal. All right, okay, how to make your FRGS application more fundamental. This topic was given to me, so I leave it as it be, but for your information, it's going to be a little bit difficult for me to just present on the topic. So I'm going to make it more of a sharing of experience. This is based on my experience because I've been applying for grants since I was doing my clinical masters. In fact, I received the Ranjit Bhagwan Singh research grant in 1998 during my master's program. Not a small, not a big amount, just 18,000 ringgit, but that's big when you are still a master student doing your clinical masters at that time. Then later on, when I came to the kuliah, I got a large IFA grant under RMK, Rancangan Malaysia ke-8, the 8th Malaysian Plan. In 2001, I came back to the kuliah in 2000, and I got the grant in 2001. And it was for the big program, something like an FRGS now, where the total amount of the grant was 13 million, and the amount that I got for IIM was more than 3 million. Then later on in 2007, I got an FRGS grant, which at that time the postgrad student for that grant is actually Dr. Zunaria in VMS. All right, and then I've been an assessor for the FRGS for the university for some years, and I've seen many applications that has issues. So maybe we can discuss and share some of the things that I saw. And as mentioned by Dr. Roslina, I awarded my FRGS again last year. And even then, it was after my second application, right? It is not easy to get the grant. My first application was rejected in 2021. So only my second application of the same topic, which I have revised, that I received it in my second application. So do not be disheartened if you get rejected, regardless whether it is rejected at the university level or the KPT level. Try again, persevere and don't give up. And inshallah, eventually you can have the opportunity to get a grant for the research project that you have in mind, right? Okay, so before I talk about the FRGS in general, specifically, I'll talk about the research grant scenario in Malaysia in general, right? Because not all research that you want to propose need to go for the FRGS. There are some grants that are small grants like the Ranjit Balancing grant I mentioned earlier that can be used for preliminary work, all right? And then it also is possible for you to apply for higher level grants at the ministry level, MOHE, Ministry of Higher Education, without having a prior FRGS, depending on what exactly that you want to apply and whether it fulfills the criteria for those grants. Right? For example, FRGS, we have some people in our kuliah even who had received the FRGS, even though they do not have an FRGS on that same topic, right? And so even though you might hear someone says that you need to have an FRGS for that topic before you can apply for FRGS, not necessarily, right? It depends solely on your application and what exactly you want to apply for and whether it fulfills the criteria. And the other one is TRGS. TRGS, if you all are not you don't really know what it is, it's meant to be a research between 3 different disciplines. So I had the opportunity to guide an application for the TRGS in 2016, and we actually got shortlisted and called to present at KPT. But then I was a little bit naive at that time, where I follow the suggestion by the researchers that were leading the various parts, that they are worried that they might not be able to fulfill or meet the criteria that the ministry wanted. And because of that, even though the KPT gives us the opportunity to revise, but we did not follow what KPT wanted, it was rejected. At that time, the worry by some of the researchers that was in that application was that they worried they are not able to produce enough students as required. And unfortunately, when you say that no, instead of one PhD, we only want to do one master's, it gets rejected straight away, right? Okay, so based on that, that'll be something I'll be touching upon in my talk today, right? So anyway, with the way things are and what I've gone through, the scenario have changed, and it's now very much more stringent and more detailed compared to last time, right? So I've been giving this FRGS talk a few times, right? From way back, I don't remember when, but anyway, a few people seems to have benefited from it, like Dr. Roslina from before. Okay, but the scenario has changed, right? So now, when you talk about doing research, you have to understand about technology readiness level. And this is something that both Ministry of Higher Education and the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation are very much beholden to, right? Okay, so what it is talking about a particular technology or particular thing that you are doing research on, at which level it is. At the end of the day, in Malaysia, research, unfortunately, R&D is geared towards commercialization, having something that can be commercialized at the end of the day. So it is something, unfortunately, the scenario in Malaysia is, you cannot run from it. So you have to have some idea about this. You cannot be doing something that other people will look at it and see there is no potential, right, for commercialization. in whatever form. Okay, right. So when you talk about the right, sorry, my pen doesn't seem to be working, so we'll leave it be. Right. So you have the lower levels for the technology readiness level 1, 2, 3, more for academic purpose. Then when at 4, 5, and 6, you're looking at collaboration, whether with other organization or the industry for further development of the technology. And then later on in 7, 8, and 9, it is more of a business development where you must collaborate with the industry. So pre-R&D process, many people I know that are not in the clinical line, they are using either final year undergraduate students or as a side project on their own to do the pre-R&D work before they then have some data and some information that they can use to apply for grants at the national level, right? And I think that's why also we have all these small grants either from the RMC or SASMAC, the hospital. You can utilize those to help to do your pre-R&D work. Okay, so then the TRL levels then can be also looked at whether it's basic research, applied research, or experimental development before it goes to commercialization. So if you look at the grants that you're familiar with, FRGS is talking more about the TRL 3 or so, right? More at the knowledge development period to up to TRL 4. You want to research and to prove the feasibility of what you have in mind. PRGS, prototype research grant, the objective is different. They are not interested in you having a master student or PhD student. They're only interested that you need to have a prototype at the end of the day, right? And it's more of technology development. Usually, in fact, they will want you to have a industry partner at this stage, not so much for the FRGS, right? You have an industry partner for FRGS is good, but it is not a must. TRGS is transdisciplinary. Again, it is more of a basic research, looking at 3 different domains that work together on a single topic, right? While LRGS, long-term research grant, is a 5-year grant, usually have to be applied via a Center of Excellence, a COE, and is meant to look at a particular technology from various aspects. For example, photonics from medical, from engineering, from other branches of science, and the demand is more for academic purposes where you need to produce 30 papers, if I'm not mistaken, within that 5 years and so on. Okay, then you have on the other end of the scale, MyLab. That is a grant that you must have an industry partner with, and is meant for pre-commercialization to commercialization level of readiness for the whatever you want to do. So in theory, someone can apply for an FRGS, and then as the FRGS is 75% completed, then apply for the PRGS to do the prototype. And then once the prototype is completed after 2 years, PRGS is only 2 years, then you can apply for MyLab to scale it up and go into production for commercialization with an industry partner. So that's the idea of, that the ministry have or the government have when we want to do R&D. A little bit different for many other universities in the West. They are looking at knowledge, production of knowledge per se. But in Malaysia, there is a focus on commercialization at the end of the day. Right, so you have this Malaysia Commercialization Year 2.0, looking at TRL, some basic, some more explanation on what it is. So level 1 is 2 and 3 are basic research, where you start with the promising research funding, then looking at technology application for being formulated at level 2, and at level 3 is lab scale experimental proof of concept, right? And then at level 4, 5, and 6, 4 is for feasibility demonstration. You do lab scale development and integration. Level 5 is technology development for production and enhancement of the product, or looking at the techno-economic model if it's not an actual science technology STI product. Social science also can go at this level. Then viability demonstration, scale up and pilot scale of the technology, and to validate that, right? Then you go to the commercial transition for 7 and 8, going for detailed engineering or plant design before you go to semi-work scale technology demonstration. And finally, at level 9, commercial deployment, you convert to full large-scale commercial operation and therefore into the market. So you need to understand the scenario so that whenever you plan something, you be thinking of the possible grants that you can go for. You have, as I mentioned earlier, under the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Higher Education, MOHE, you have your familiar FRGS, CRGS, LRGS, MyLab, but you also have other grants, right? Which I will just mention after this in the next slide. Then you have the grants by MOSTI, Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation. Then you have other funding bodies, such as Academy of Sciences Malaysia, ASM, with the Ranjit Bakwan Singh Research Grant, the Malaysian Tourist Science Foundation, CRES, the Public-Private Research Network, PPRN, the Ministry of Health itself have some research grants available, and the Knowledge Transfer Program, and so on and so forth. All right, so you can look at some of this, for example, at MASTIC website under the Ministry of Science and Technology. Okay, so if you open it, it will tell you all these grants. There are more than this, but this is some of the bigger grants more commonly available in the country. And they open within a certain time period, so you have to be aware. But I'm sure some of you will have received emails from RMC or from your HOR or from your research liaison officer within your department talking about latest list of available grants, and they all have their opening date, closing date. They all have their criteria. Like I said, depending on what you want to do, you can apply for a particular grant, or you can put in your application in such a way that it fulfills the criteria that is that grant wanted to increase your chances to get that grant. Okay, so you have to be a little bit diligent in that way, right? You cannot just simply apply, and this is based on the applications I've seen previously. Sometimes it's obvious someone has an idea, all right. It probably is a good idea. It probably is can be a feasible idea, but unfortunately, you apply to the wrong grant, you will not get it, right? And then after that, they give up, which is also not right. All right. So you have to be thinking about what grants to apply for and where you can apply it for, depending on whether you can fulfill the criteria required for that particular research grant. Okay. So tip number 1. Importance of the following guidelines, right? The latest guideline must be followed, and it must be followed to the letter. There are no compromises, not in today's way of doing things, right? Back in the early 2000, there are more research grants than there are applicants, but now it's the other way around. There are a lot more applications than there are available grants, so they're going to be more stringent in where they how they screen the grants. So if you do not follow the guidelines, you are looking at rejection based on technicalities alone, which can be done either by the internal or external assessors, or even by the system itself straight away, right? For example, it says that a certain percentage of the money cannot be used for this following vote for this purpose, but you go and use more because you say I need it, you will not get that grant, unfortunately, right? Okay, or they say this is a grant meant for fundamental research, but your application is obviously for applied research, right? And therefore you will not get the research, right? You're not following the guidelines and what exactly the criteria for that particular grant. Okay. Tip number 2, you must fill in the application in My Grants properly. There are obvious and not so obvious details. Obvious details is you must fill in all the sections. You cannot leave any empty sections at all. You must follow all the instructions. If they say that in the executive summary must have all those components, please have all the components. But no subheadings, no subsection. It should be just one paragraph with all the components that they ask for, problem statement, so on, output, so on, so forth, and whatnot, right? Since last year, you must have relevant quotations for each and every item that you put into the budget, especially when you talk about consumables or equipments, right? And then the whole proposed budget must make sense. I want 200,000 ringgit, but I'm asking for 100,000 for research assistant for salary for my graduate research assistant. But it already stated that you need for 3 years must be 1 PhD, right? And then for 2 years must be 1 master's, right? 3 years can be 1 PhD or 2 masters. So when you apply for the GRA's allowance or salary, it shouldn't be more than that. Even though they say minimum is 1 PhD, you cannot put in, I want 2 PhD students. Therefore, most of my grant that I'm asking is for the payment of the student. It doesn't work that way. At the same time, if it says 3 years, 1 PhD student, you can put only 1 master student and ask for less, because then you do not fulfill the criteria I'm required for the human capital development, which is minimum 1 PhD student for a 3-year project. So it goes either ways, right? You must follow the instructions, and it must make sense, right? The other thing that I find many people are not doing correctly is that the title must reflect the content of the application or the proposal, the research proposal that you're applying. And it also must reflect the main objective, right? And then at the same time, the proposed methodology that you are proposing will be able to meet each specific objective that you list out, right, in your objectives, right? For a good research application, you will need to have 1 general objective with maybe 3 specific objectives, not 10. That's too much. But at the same time, not 1 main objective and no specific objective, or only 1 specific objective which is similar to the main objective. No, you should have 1 main objective, right, which reflects the title and the content of the application itself in total, but specific objective to meet that main objective, and each one within the methodology, you have a specific method to meet that specific objective, right? I'll share just to show an example what I mean by this, right? The notes file in my grants must be updated with your papers, your previous research experience, and so on. Right. Of course, even though you may not have that much experience, it's not to say that you cannot apply and you cannot be successful in your application. What you need to do is you must make sure you have a good research team that is relevant, right? For example, in my application last year, I want to do 3D printing. So I have a micro researcher, someone who is a known expert in 3D printing, right? Either by virtue of their previous work, PhD project and whatnot, or they have received grants for something similar in regards to 3D printing. So that whenever the assessor look at, they know, all right, I myself am not, is a clinician and not knowledgeable with 3D printing, but my co-researcher is, okay? I'm looking at drug delivery system. I have someone who is proficient in drug delivery system in my team, right? Because I'm a medical doctor, I'm not a pharmaceutical technology person, right? Looking at drug delivery system. So you must have that. But at the same time, I've seen people who put in 8 co-researchers. That's too much, too many, right? You shouldn't have more than 5. In fact, 3 is good enough. 3 or 4, right? 5 is right at the top. Having more than 5, people will say you're just putting in people that may or may not be relevant, right? And sometimes I also see people being put in that not related at all to the research project. You want to do a research project to look at development of the development of a product, and then you have a co-researcher from another university in a totally different field that has no bearing at all to what is being proposed, right? No expertise and not related at all. So obviously, the grant may be rejected simply on that alone, because it doesn't make sense, right? Okay, or someone is put in there because he or she is just a senior, but totally different field, not related to the proposed project. Also, will not be helpful. So, you know, maybe some of us are thinking, all right, I'm junior, I put in someone senior so that it carries weight, put more weight on my application, and hopefully I get it. But if that person that you put in is not relevant, it actually can be detrimental rather than beneficial, right? So it has, you have to have some research network going on. You need to know people, especially in our university, who have experience or knowledge in the field that you that's relevant to your research application or your research project application. It will be very helpful, right? So, for example, in my case, I've been a co-researcher in a few projects under Kuliah of Engineering, where they're applying for very highly technical work, but because it is related to medicine, they put in, and especially for upper limb, because I'm a hand surgeon, they put in my name, and then alhamdulillah, they were successful, and they managed to get grants not only from the ministry, but also from the Research Defense Network, the American Air Force Research Defense Network, for a few years, for a few projects, right? Amounting a few $100,000 each. So, which is good of them, right? But it shows the importance of having relevant. I'm sure if they put in a grant application, but they have no medical expertise in their expert in their application, they may not get it, because the body, the person assessing it from the fundraising body will say, how are they going to do something that's relevant to medicine when they have no medical expert in their grant to advise or help them with the development, right? Okay, and then another one that I find many people may not be aware of, your references, most of them should be recent references. You shouldn't be putting in references from the 80s and 90s only, all right, or mostly. Okay, you can put in landmark papers as your reference, but when you cite, you should be citing recent papers. Why? For researchers, assessors who are active researchers, for them it just makes sense, because otherwise, are you really following the latest development in that field? When you're quoting papers that are 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, right? Okay, so as a general rule, the references should be 5 years or less. Most of them, not to say each and every one of them, most of them. You have 20 references, right? Then at least 12 to 15 of them must be less than 5 years. Cannot be the other way around. Only 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 less than 5 years. The rest are all 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and so on. No, you must show that you have kept up with your field that you are proposed to do your research in, rather than something that you learn during your undergraduate years and suddenly decide you want to expand. Are you really doing what is the latest in that field or not, right? Okay, and that also will be reflected in when you do your patent search, which is another requirement by FRGS in recent years. Okay, right. So that's me talking a little bit, and now just questions and answers. I'll stop my sharing. So we start with some Q&A. any questions and answers, and I'll try to answer those questions. Right? Okay. Any questions so far?
Any questions from the audience?
So after this, there will be some examples that I've been given that I will quickly go through and point out things that may be helpful to make the proposed research more fundamental. Right? Otherwise, for me to see how to make it fundamental per se is going to be difficult. We'll do it with some examples after this. But before we do that, any questions from based on what I have mentioned so far? All right. Anyone?
Assalamualaikum.
Salamatullah. From?
I would like to ask radiology.
Radiology, okay, right.
I would like to inquire you regarding your previous experience of FRGS regarding the master student that was involved in your project. Because you're clinical, you're clinician, right? So are you taking one of the clinical masters as your students? As the intellect that's going to be produced from the project. So how do you do about it?
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. Understood. All right. It depends on a few factors. First of all, your research project itself. If you are applying on a purely clinical research project, you may not in the first place meet the requirement for it to be a fundamental research application, right? So you need to put it in such a way that it seems a fundamental research. You're looking at how something works or how something do what it does, right? Then whether it's going to be someone from your GRA, Graduate Research Assistant, going to be a clinical master student or a non-clinical master student depends on the actual work that you are proposing in your methodology. If it involves a lot of non-clinical work in the lab, or for instance, in your case, in radiology can be works in physics, then you should have a master student doing physics. Like for example, my research project for FRGS, I'm looking for a master student, or sorry, a PhD student in pharmaceutical technology, because what I'm developing is a drug delivery system. Okay, I cannot take a student from orthopedics to do this, even though at the end of the day, the thing that I want to produce going to be used in orthopedic, but you need to have someone who's able to help you to do the research. So if you're looking at things like radiation, ultrasound, and whatnot, you might want to look at having a student, master's student or PhD student doing physics rather than clinical masters. So it looks, you need to look at the thing in total. If you are you want to do just a purely clinical work, it might not meet the fundamental research. But you're doing fundamental research where you're looking at things that are not clinical, not purely clinical, then you need to make sure that your student is relevant to that field. Right? Does that help?
Yes, that helps very much. Thanks.
Okay, all right, okay, thank you.
Prof, another
Any
question from Mr. Fazli.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
Can you hear me, Prof?
Sure, very loud.
All right. So I think two questions lah.
Okay, sure.
Because basically my research, the proposal, everything that I gave to you, I actually intended to develop a device to attach to an Elizarov frame.
Yeah.
So I was thinking more of a PRGS punya hala tuju lah. However, after discussion with people in UMP and whatnot, they said you have to have an FRGS first.
Okay.
So because of that, so I modified the idea to make it part of it, the earlier part of the research, to make it as fundamental as I can lah. So that's why I came up with what I gave it to you. Is that really required, or we can just jump straight to PRGS, and what are the possibilities of obtaining it? One. Secondly, Now, because of this, I changed the idea to make it more fundamental, so now the research looks more towards an engineering aspect rather than a medical aspect. So when it became like that, people, my colleague in UMP also said that they takut reject pula ke FRGS. When they see the applicant is more of medical, but the research is more towards engineering. So it became like split. So maybe macam diorang nak minta lain, kita nak minta lain. So that's what the problem for me now.
Okay, all right. I actually had a brief look at what you sent me. All right. Okay. I will think it'll be better if you go for FRGS, and then after 2 years you apply for PRGS. At that stage, either your FRGS is 75% completed on the system or already fully completed. But it must be at least 75% completed on the system, not on your notes, in the system, in the migrant system. So, all right. Why I say this? Because it's actually can be more, it'll be good to get the FRGS because FRGS allows you to get master student, PhD student. PRGS, no master student, no PhD student. You only have a research assistant who's not supposed to be studying at the same time. It has to be someone doing full-time work on the job. So within 2 years, you have the prototype. All right. So the way you're doing it, if you don't have a master student or PhD student, your work will not be completed. You will not be able to get a product in the end. All right. Because you're not going to do it. Your colleagues in UMP not going to do it. They want a master student or PhD student to do it. But PRGS does not allow you to do it. What you can do is apply for the FRGS, and if you don't want to wait, you with your collaborator, someone else applies for the PRGS. Once the PRGS open a little bit later.
Okay. All right. Okay.
All right. So two-pronged. You do the fundamental work. All right. And then someone in that area can apply for the PRGS. But you are a collaborator there. You are a co-researcher there. You can do that. All right. Okay. Your title must reflect the fundamental work. You need to really talk to your colleagues on how to make it so. At the same time, you need to focus on looking at the fundamental aspects. Even though you say you get to what you sent to me more to be fundamental, it is still sounds clinical. So you discuss with your collaborator, right? Which one you're going to lead. Maybe you can apply both to get the FRGS. Someone do FRGS, someone else do the PRGS. Okay. Right.
Okay.
But when you apply PRGS, they want to see that you have done some fundamental work before this, right? So if you want to apply this year, dengan syarat, with the condition that someone within your group have already done some preliminary work on this on their own. That means maybe internal university punya grant ke, ada publish paper on this, or present something on this result. Right, you have presented or published paper on Elizarov. You understand? So it's not like somebody out of the blue, I want to do the prototype on this thing, but you have no prior experience at all or prior knowledge in that field. So if you want to increase the chances better, maybe you apply FRGS this year and then you apply PRGS next year. So but a different person apply. So then when they apply next year, they can say based on work that already being done, this is, you make maybe you make a review paper punya publication on that topic, or preliminary data is available, and you use that for your PRGS next year. Right? You have to strategize. Right? There's no one way to do it. You have to sit down with your colleagues, your collaborators, and discuss what's the best way, right? Boleh?
Okay,
Does that help? Does that help?
Okay. All right. Thanks.
All right. Okay. All right.
Dr.
Welcome.
Rizwan?
Assalamualaikum, Prof. Boleh dengar kan?
Assalamualaikum. Can.
Rizwan for internal medicine. Okay,
Right.
I'm actually doing a proposal for cardiac rehab. I want to come up with a national cardiac rehab because programs. So one of it actually was
You want to come up with a national cardiac rehab
module.
protocol module. What kind of module? Module
Will involve a lot all the allied health, including physicians, occupational therapy, rehabs, and also pharmacies, and even physiotherapy as well. So I tried to come up with a module.
So you want to come out with something like an SOP for cardiac rehab, all right? Okay. When you talk about module, I'm thinking whether you're talking about an app or an online course or something.
Okay,
But,
sorry.
all right.
It's
So
like a
you
program.
want to come up,
Like a program.
you want to come up with a national guideline, maybe even can something like that. All right, go on.
So the thing is, to make it more fundamental, I was thinking that to involve industry, but then again, in terms of getting industry, I think it will be limited. But how about getting an NGO like an Enham Society, Cardiology Society to join in?
Okay. I would like to ask you to clarify. When you say to make it more fundamental, you need to involve the industry. Why do you say that?
I just wonder because at the moment, all the team is more towards clinical and also even allied health. But at one of the part of the proposal, which is phase 3, I want to make it involve. I want to test the guideline or even the program, whether is it applicable or suitable for everyone. So that's why I try to engage rather than getting an industry. I was thinking that to engage a NGO like a National Heart Association Malaysia, so that they can support us in terms of getting easier to engage with other hospitals to make it like bulletin or something like that.
Okay, all right, okay, okay. I have to say, based on what you told me so far, all right, you're not going to able to meet FRGS punya requirement, fundamental research, right?
Yes.
Fundamental research, you're doing cardiac rehab, okay?
Yeah.
Fundamental research, for example, will be that if we do this rehab modality, it will be able, I'm able to show with my research that it increases cardiac output or it improves the ejection fraction of the heart.
Okay.
That's fundamental. That's fundamental. To develop an SOP or a guideline, that's not fundamental work.
Okay. Because
all right. So it can be difficult for you to get that for under FRGS.
Okay. Because
right.
To validate the programs, that will be the phase 3 where we try on real patients and then we assess in terms of outcome in terms of few parameters like functional status, 6-month walking test, blood test, and looking at the compliance, everything. That will be the phase 3. But the phase 1, phase 2 is trying to get the discussions and then come up with the programs. So that will be the earlier phase. So there will be 3 phases to go through.
So why not? Right? Why not you apply for TRGS? Transdisciplinary research. You have someone in the basic sciences looking at the blood parameters, the molecular work, for example, that there will be an upregulation of this factor, that factor, whatnot. When you apply what you want to, when you apply this, whether if you want to make it, you want to wait until later when you do on patients, then you can look at this, then you can start with looking at it maybe in a animal model or in vitro. Okay, and then you have someone in clinical to do the phase 3, like you said, where they will apply to patients and then collect the blood or the do the ultrasound study of the heart and look at the some calculations to look at whatever parameters that can be improved upon or have that you can show that is improved upon with this protocol.
Okay.
Then you take someone from the social sciences to look at this discussion, looking at the qualitative aspect of the study, where you want to discuss on the modules and things like that. Maybe do a focus research group or a survey and whatnot. So then you have 3 different domains working on one project, all right? Within the 3-year framework.
Okay.
And you, all right, you understand. FRGS I don't think will be workable for you, but TRGS might be workable. So you have three different projects by three different, one clinical, one basic sciences, one from the social sciences, for example, right? Working together on the whole thing, like different aspects, and it's all in line. Then you do your phase 1, phase 2, phase 3.
Okay.
Right?
Okay, good.
Boleh.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Prof.
I think it'll be better that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Prof.
Another question from Dr. Kao.
Good afternoon, Prof. Yeah, just
Yes,
one
Rini, yeah.
quick question. In case we have industrial sponsor research, is it still feasible that we apply for the FRGS grant, or will there be any conflict of interest in terms of the output?
Okay. Can you give me a little bit more detail? You have industry sponsor research to do what? To come up with a product at the end, or what?
Yes, let's say we have a industrial sponsor research whereby our main output will be a prototype.
Okay.
So the main output will be the registration of patents for that product.
Okay.
But in order to register for patent, it will take a long time. So before that, maybe you can apply for a FRGS as a fundamental research for that.
Okay. Based on my experience, when you have industry sponsored research, they're only interested in the product at the end. They're not interested in the science behind it so much. Right? Okay. As long as they are convinced that it can work, they say yes, no worry, we'll give you the money and you make it happen for us. When you want to apply for a patent, you need to have data that you want to put in to show that the patent that you are applying for makes sense. So I think you are on the correct way in the sense that the product development is with the industry sponsored research, but there are certain questions from the fundamental. For example, the science behind this product. How does it affect at either molecular level or cellular level? That is the fundamental work. And you can apply the FRGS grant to look at the fundamental work, not on developing the product, but looking at the science behind the product that you are currently working on with that industry sponsored, your sponsor from the industry. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, Prof. Prof, just one more question following that. The last time Prof mentioned that we need to be careful when we publish all the data, especially when we are registering for the patent, right? So will that be, so my only concern is if the main output of the FRGS is publication, will it affect the patent registration later?
Yes, that's why you need to strategize. You can strategize it if you look carefully at what the pharmaceutical industry is doing, right? Okay. For example, when Amgen did their work on sclerostin, when they publish the paper, they say they're looking at this product SR what number, all right? So they identify the product with a code name that they're working on. But they produce a lot of papers on sclerostin, the review papers, or specific small parts. Sclerostin can do this, sclerostin can do that, right? So that when they apply, they refer to those papers, right? They refer to those papers as part of their proof that what they are patenting for is workable, right? You have to strategize to do that. And secondly, when you file a patent for something, you have within 12 months. You can publish things about it within 12 months after your filing date. So that when within that 12 months period, it is still considered as not public knowledge. But once something is published before you apply, you file your patent, or 12 months later, then your patent application will not be approved. It will be filed, but it will not be approved, will not be granted, because they say now somebody else have the knowledge already. Right? You understand what I'm trying to say or not?
Yes, Prof.
You have to work. You have to strategize, lah. You have to strategize. Okay. To me, applying for the FRGS is not an issue. because the FRGS is looking at the fundamental basis of whatever that you are looking at, whatever the product is supposed to be doing, which your industry-sponsored research grant will not be doing, right? So you're looking at that. And if you file your patent at the correct time, there shouldn't be a problem, even if you have presented. It has to be within 12 months from your filing date. So you need to talk to a patent lawyer or patent engineer. I think you talk to RMC. RMC, we have IP Pintas or some other company that they work in, that you get them to help you to get in touch with them. We discuss how to strategize.
Okay, Prof.
Right? All right. Okay.
Prof,
So
last one. So in your opinion, is it better to declare this during the application process, or we just don't put it inside the application?
Like I said, you have an industry sponsored research for a product, period. This is the product. Now you're applying FRGS to look at the science of it, which has nothing to do with the product per se. You understand? I'm not, you don't apply, I'm applying this to FRGS because I want to have a product there. No, I want to, you write it in such a way that you're looking at the fundamental aspects sahaja only. Right?
Okay.
So nothing to do with the industry sponsored research at all.
Sure. Thank you, Prof.
Otherwise, people get confused and then they say, "Oh, what is this?" And then you get rejected based on sentiments rather than anything else. Right? Okay. So be careful. Now, saying this, another thing that I seen many times before in applications, right? You have an idea about, say, a plant extract for this clinical purpose, right? But you must understand when it comes, and nowadays, especially in Malaysia, last time boleh, I have this extract from this pucuk paku, which will be good for bone healing. And I want to do some research work and come out with a product at the end. You can apply for a grant for that, but not now, not anymore. All right, because now when you want to produce a pharmaceutical product, you need to go through all the in vitro, in vivo testing before you can go to preclinical and clinical testing. That's the way it works. Why? For patient safety. So when you want to apply, you may need to strategize. You cannot be expecting, oh, within 3 years, I will get a product at the end. You need to strategize and maybe break it down, FRGS for the fundamental work, PRGS for the prototype, and then with your industry collaborator, go for my lab to go to commercialization, pre-commercialization and commercialization. You have to strategize, because I've seen an application before from one of our departments in our kuliah, looking at producing a product, but I'm applying FRGS for it. This is back in 2018. It will not work. You will not get it because that's not what FRGS is meant for, right? So you have to maybe break up the research into a few components and ask for different research grant. If you have a group of people working together, it will be good, because you can lead one application for one grant, someone else like Fazli, Dr. Fazli just now, Prof. Fazli just now, he can lead one while his collaborator can lead for another application for PRGS. That will save time, so you can get something available out earlier rather than you have to do it yourself one after another, which will take quite long, right? This is just something that, based on the questions, came to me that I forgot to mention earlier, right? Any further questions?
I think no, Prof.
Tak ada, ya? All right. Okay, so I'm going to share screen balik. All right. Okay. So we go to the final part where we look at some examples and see whether it's going to be possible to make this research more fundamental, or if it's already fundamental in the first place, right? Okay, so that will be the examples for discussion. So we'll go to, sorry, Dr. Ruslan, you said you got 2 other executive summary. Have you sent it to me already?
Yes, I have in your Telegram.
Right. Telegram. I'll open it after this, right? So okay, so this is the write-up sent to me by Prof. Azli, right? Okay, so the title is very, like he said, very much engineering rather than clinical, but it can, by the way you write, can make it relevant to you as a clinician, not necessarily to say that because you're a clinician you cannot lead this. It's still possible, right? Okay. Right, so nanti how this can be further improved, looking at the problem statement and the research questions and the objective of the research. Like I said, you need to have a main objective that is in line with the title itself. And then how you're going to achieve that, you have 1, 2, 3, where you're going to do different things. And each one of them, you must have the methodology to do it and meet that objective, right? Okay, right?
So boleh bubuh methodology macam for specific objective 1, methodology this. So specific
for example, in your methodology, you put in your objective research 1, 2, 3. So your methodology pun must follow the same arrangement, right? First, I'm going to do this method to look at how to measure force transmitted to an individual frame, and then how to determine which is the most reliable method. I'm using this methodology based on what paper, what have other people have done. It's not something out of the blue. You need to have some reference. And then second part of my methodology, we're going to measure the force through an laser frame on multiple stages of bone healing models. So my reference on the bone healing models you want to use, and maybe on the method to measure the force through the laser frame kalau ada. Kalau tak ada, tak apa, you're going to come up with that method, because it is fundamental, it's new, nobody have done it before, right? And then the third part of your methodology, you're going to look at all the data and you're going to formulate the best ratio using this method based on this engineering paper that says this calculation will be the best way, so it meets all the objectives. Your methodology meets all the objectives.
So we need also the general objective lah, because I think
general objective is in line. What is the general objective? The general objective, the main objective will be to look at the ratio of force transmission to an lateral ring-fixated construct for the tibia in fracture and bone lengthening models during stages of bone healing. That's the main, which is almost similar to the title.
It's okay to be similar to the title.
Not similar, almost similar to the title, but it's in line. Your main objective is what the title is all about, and the title is what the whole project is all about. Okay, but to reach that main objective, you have to have specific objective. I need to do this first. And how to do this in the first part of my methodology, we look at this first objective. Then the next part is how I need to do this. So the second part of my methodology will be answering that the question required to meet that objective. And then the third one, you understand that? All right. But at the end of the day, overall is to meet the main objective, which is the title. Right? Okay. Right. So that's Fazli punya. Right.
Is it fundamental enough?
It can be fundamental because for your information, yang paling banyak dan paling senang dapat research grant, especially FRGS in engineering, kan? You talk to your engineering collaborators, partners, on how to make sure that it is fundamental enough. So, and then when you apply, jangan taruh bawah clinical. You kena taruh bawah the domain for engineering.
So that was the issue. If you put it under engineering, they say that if the PI is a medical person, they will reject. They will reject.
Okay. That one. It depends on the head of cluster and what he instruct the assessors in that cluster. Tapi kalau the engineers are telling you that, then it's probably better for you to follow lah. Because I'm not familiar. I'm familiar dengan the clinical and health sciences punya cluster. The head, Datuk Zubaidi, wants something particular. So not really an issue.
Because they had another issue juga. They did a research with some medical pathology punya benda, but the PI wasn't engineering. It was rejected because ada some medical dalam tu. So dia pun tak tahu which one nak ikut.
The PI is engineer.
PI is engineer. The study is mainly some engineering punya stuff, but ada some pathology aspect. Sebab
Dia ada collaborator medical.
Ada, tapi because the PI tu wasn't engineering, it was rejected. Dia bubuh under technical and engineering lah.
But the reason for the rejection was?
Tu dia tak clarify lagi kenapa.
You need to get them to ask dia punya RMC to find out what's the actual reason for the rejection. Boleh tanya, boleh find out tu.
Because it was rejected at KPT, not at the university.
Yalah, at KPT. So by right there should be some KPT punya assessor will have write something in the system which you will not be able to see. Tapi by right RMC boleh nampak. Kalau tak pun RMC boleh minta dengan KPT to get that. Otherwise it's not going to be helpful lah. How you going to improve further kan? So dia kena minta RMC dia to mediate and get that the actual reason why it was rejected, right?
By the way, this tajuk ni was after discussion dengan diorang lah. So we came up with this supposedly fundamental lah.
Alright. A question. Any one of your collaborators, engineer collaborators pernah dapat FRGS tak?
Ada. On grasping for the hand punya model lah.
Okay. So then there is some experience, then we okay. Boleh lah then they know what they're talking about when they say from the engineering punya domain macam mana kan. Engineering punya cluster, because engineering at the end of the day it depends on the head of the cluster and the direction that he wanted the assessors to go for lah. So which I'm not familiar with because bukan domain kita kan. Tapi health and clinical sciences I know lah.
Okay, alright.
Alright. Okay. Alright. Next is some executive summary that Dr. Roslina gave to me. Okay, we quickly go to. I think this one is Dr. Rayhana. You have mentioned this. This is what you wanted to do. Profiling intramural and peritumoral radiomic signatures using deep learning in differentiating benign and malignant breast masses on digital breast tomosynthesis. Right? Okay. So image mining, data mining, this is more of IT. You're going to be developing, you can be developing either an app or software for this. Is that right, Dr. Rahana?
Yes, Prof. My collaborator is a computer engineer from UMP.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, so the student should be an engineering punya student lah. All right, computer engineer or computer science or whatever lah yang relevant to this, or in radio, in the sciences, in physics, like I said. Okay, you need to make sure that you have the what they want in the summary. Wait, hold on, tunggu sekejap. Then in the executive summary, okay, correct, sorry. Okay. My application, right? Problem statement must be there, objective research methodology must be there, expected output, outcomes and implication and significance, all right, must be there. Right, let's do this with, hold on, Right. Okay. Right. Okay. So you are able to fit all those in the required number of words. Dr. Rayana.
It's supposed to be maximum 300 words, right?
Yes.
Yep. I think I got it 20 words over, but I might have
No, you have to make sure it's less, 300 or less.
Yeah, yeah.
You must follow what they ask you to do to the letter. Tak apalah, it's 301, okay kot. But then when
320.
kalau 301 pun, when it goes through the system, you will be rejected because you tak follow the instruction.
Understood, Prof.
Okay, you must follow to the letter, all right? Okay, and it must be clear that okay, this is the problem statement for the first sentence. All right. Second sentence, right? Third sentence, fourth sentence, problem statement. All right, and then the objective. Okay, discerning benign. All right. Okay, you putting in okay, my objective is so and so, which is one, to employ advanced features attraction of intra-internal region investment measures on DBT, one. Number two, disappearing, that's a one specific objective. Second specific objective is to decipher their benign and malignant derivative natures by using computer vision approach with the use of deep learning algorithm. So you only have two specific objectives, kan?
Specific objectives, I've got three, but I think I didn't forward you because I was really requested to submit the executive summary.
Yeah, executive summary. But you need to have the three specific objectives in the executive summary.
We need to put all the three into the executive summary.
You should.
You
You should try to put it even in one sentence, but all three are there. Macam ini, you have one sentence on objective, and from based on the one sentence, I can only deduce two specific objectives. But you say you have three specific objectives. Is the third objective within those two that sentence or not?
Yes, it is.
Huh?
It is. Yes, it is, Prof.
It is in there.
It's in there.
It's in. Then you need to break down the sentence using your comma. That it shows that you have three things that you want to look at.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
Right.
So then in your methodology, all right. Okay. All right. So for this part, we're going to be doing this method to look at it, and for that part, we're going to do doing this method to look at that, and then finally the part. So you will have three methods to look at three specific objectives within your within your executive summary. So sekarang I tengok you macam ada 3 methodology kan?
So it's the different phases of the method.
But your objective macam ada 2 je, so you need to make it so that tally, alright. Okay, so the research must start with image segmentation and processing to assess number of regions in compliance to image biomarker standardization, BSI. Does this meet the first objective, which is to employ advanced features extraction of intra and peripheral region in breast masses on DBT, alright, on digital breast tomosynthesis. Macam tak kena tau.
Okay.
Right? You doing something, but it doesn't answer the first objective. You understand that? All right. Okay. So for example, the research methodology starts with image segmentation and processing to assess a number of features in compliance to image biomarker standardization initiatives. All right. Okay, that's a methodology. But what is the objective of this? What is the objective of doing this?
General objective is to develop model. Develop a predictive model.
Okay. Alright. So you put it that way lah. So put it okay. The objectives of the study are to develop a predictive model for extracting intra and peripheral region in breast masses on DBT. Right. So the research methodology starts with image segmentation and processing in compliance with image biomarker standardization initiative to develop a predictive model. So in line, you faham tak? Alright. Then the next part of the methodology is data processing for feature selection and reduction. Why do you want to do this? What's the objective for doing this?
What's the objective?
for the data processing for future selection and reduction.
Because basically when we first do segmentation, next if we want to extract, when we extract, we will extract a lot, but then we need to select. So that's step by step process methods of the overall radiometric nature. So
Okay, all right. So tadi you we said that the first methodology is to do predictive apa yang kata?
we develop a predictive model which can
Okay, to develop a predictive model, right? And then but it sounds like the second part is also used to develop the predictive model juga kan? Yang data processing for feature selection and reduction is also to develop the predictive model.
Yes.
It's part and parcel of it kan? So dah tak boleh dah. Alright. Okay. Okay.
So the second objective must be something different, but not directly like developing the prediction model, but
because okay. Walk me through your research again, right? You want to develop a predictive model using various using some methods and standardization initiative. You want to data processing to develop a predictive model. That's what you do. Once you have the predictive model, what are you going to do?
The predictive model is actually the last one. The last one we develop after we extract all the features from the images.
Okay, all right. Then that should be your third objective then, to develop the predictive model. So the first objective is to extract to extract using IBSI pertinent features of the tumor from DVT. Right? Okay. And then you do that. How you going to do that? I'm going to do that by using the image biomarker sensitization as the basis. But we do it by doing image segmentation and also data processing and selecting the relevant features and reduction and reducing them to a workable number. Okay, something like that. That's the method. All right, and then when you done what's next before you come up with the predictive model?
Actually, the first one is the image segmentation. The second one is feature extraction. The second one is the third one is feature selection. You have to select. You have to reduce the features to find the significant ones. Then only you use it for developing the model.
Okay, and then once you have this technical and clinical validation, it comes after you have the model, is it?
Yes.
Okay. So you can only validate those candidate biomarkers after you have the predictive model, or you need to do it before you can have the.
It's part and parcel to check for robustness of the model.
Okay, all right. So you have to write it in such a way that is understandable. My objective is one is I'm going to data mine the image mining to look at the relevant features. All right, to extract the relevant features using a standardization protocol IBSI that can be used. All right. Okay, and my method is using doing this is by using this method based on this paper. Which is can be modeled in your methodology lah, right? But using a particular methodology that you base on a paper, bukan atas angin, right? And then the second part is to reduce and select, right? And you're going to do that based on what protocol, based on what criteria, right? That is your methodology, right? And you have some references also, all right? Okay, and then baru you want to come up with the predictive model, and then you do the validation. So you might end up with 4 objectives rather than 3. Okay, boleh lagi, like I said, maximum 5 lah. Alright, tapi 3 will be a good number.
Boleh Yeah, I heard 3 is the number, but 4 is fine, is it?
4 boleh lagi, as long as it makes sense. tapi jangan sampai 6, 7, 8 tu too much lah. Alright. 5 is the absolute maximum to me, right? Tapi 4 is okay. 3 to 4 is okay. Alright. Kalau you can have the possibility of putting it into maybe the first 2 objective yang kita cakap tadi become 1 objective. Then the second one is to develop the predictive model. Then the third one is to validate the predictive model. The third one boleh juga, tak ada masalah. So jadi 3, tak ada masalah. Alright, if you worry 4 too much, you know, buat 3 boleh. So you do the image extraction dengan the reduction and selection and reduction as first objective, which is and your first methodology. Second methodology is you want to develop the predictive model based on that data. You want to develop predictive model using what method, and then the third part is to validate the predictive model using what method.
I see. Okay.
Boleh? Okay.
Yang last sentence tu okay apa?
Yeah. Sorry, the rest.
That should be a closing, like sort of a closing sentence. Very last sentence.
Okay, and then so that's the methodology. So expected output, right? It is expected that this research will come up with a predictive model that can be used in the hospital setting widely and be able to help to identify or make the diagnosis much easier, right? Okay, and then the significance is be able to improve detection of this tumor and therefore earlier. So therefore earlier treatment and better survival rates then. All right, okay. So that will ultimately go with whatever SDG and so on so forth lah. Okay. Boleh. Alright. Okay. Okay. So that's executive summary 1. Number 2, another one from radiology. Superior X-ray from novel compatible with antifungal effect. Okay. So the characterization is the fundamental part. When you characterize this material, new material, it will be the fundamental work. You do not need to mention about the development of this new X-ray radiation shielding. The characterization of novel X-ray radiation shielding from biocompatible nanopolymer charcoal with antifungal effect. Okay, or to characterize and elucidate mechanism of action of this novel X-ray radiation shielding material based on biocompatible nanopolymer charcoal. All right, something like that lah. That'll be enough. The development part you can keep it silent, because of course when you characterize and work on this material, eventually you're going to come up with the product. Right, so that can be straight away go into commercialization, or kalau you not come up with a prototype, you go for FRGS after this. Right, tapi usually with material macam ni, you don't really need FRGS. You get an industry partner and then terus go, but you need to have the fundamental work to show that this is it does what is you claim it's supposed to do, which is able to shield X-ray radiation and also have antifungal effect, so it lasts longer and doesn't cause a problem with contamination and so on and so forth. Boleh lah, right? I hope the person Nur Ain is here. Dengar I duk kita macam-macam ni.
Yes, Prof, I'm here.
Right, so you can take note. All right, so your words also seems to be a little bit more than 300, betul ke?
Yeah, that is 400. I'll try to reduce it later.
Boleh, right? Okay. You need to do that. So problem statement usually not possible to do it in one sentence. Tapi at the end of the day, the rest you try to make it into as little number of sentences as possible. All right. So okay. X-ray and gamma rays are part of the electromagnetic spectrum. That's not a problem statement. That has nothing to do with the problem. Leave it out, right? X-ray and gamma rays have been used for clinically both in imaging and treatment of diseases. Okay. However, they are known to be carcinogenic to human as they are ionizing. They are ionizing in nature, right? Therefore, X-ray shielding is important in the clinical setting to reduce the risk of cancer in among the healthcare professionals, healthcare workers working with X-rays with radiation, right? Okay, so before this, so then in the past, radiation shielding materials are large and cumbersome, such as lead and concrete are large and cumbersome, right? And have some problems, whatever it is, and you can mention skip, right? Okay, which includes toxicity, heaviness, and price, right? Okay, so that's the problem statement, right? So the objective of this research is to look at the characterize and look at effectiveness of novel X-ray radiation shielding material using based on biocompatible nanopolymer charcoal, right? And then okay, this material also will have will investigate also the antifungal effect of this material, which is also it seems to want to have also, right? So that's the objective. You can buat tiga lah macam I cakap tadi dengan the person before, and then the objective, the methodology, look at each one.
Okay.
And how. So you susun the objective to follow the methodology, right? Since what you're going to do is quite specific, so nak buat benda tu kena ada the arrangement. They have to come first, then next, then next, then next, kan? So your objective pun ikut that methodology. The first objective will be answered by the first part of the methodology and so on, all right? Okay, and then expected output, you have a novel material which will be cheaper and more more easily to work with no toxicity effects, right? That can benefit healthcare workers in Malaysia and also elsewhere in the rest of the world working with radiation. Okay, and then the significance of the you can also put that oh, I forgot, you also put in, kalau you ada PhD student, master student, also you put lah mention kalau boleh sekali lah with you also from this project also you going to expect to get one PhD student and 2 papers and whatnot, nah? Okay.
Oh,
And
can
then
mention dalam executive juga ke?
You can
we need to mention. Oh.
You can mention, right? Kalau you have enough space, right?
Oh, okay.
Because the expected output outcomes implication, kalau you tengok dia divided, ada kan dia divided at the end of the day pun siap ada IP lagi kan, intellectual property lagi lah. So kalau you can boleh masuk semua, masuk lah. Kalau tak dapat, make sure the important part ada lah, right? Okay. Alright, and then the significance because that's the expected output to a novel material with one PhD student and 2 papers and 1 IP. And then the significance is you have a new material that is easier to work with no toxic effect and also able to reduce contamination from fungus during use. Right, so can last longer. Can and this will lead to better safety for the healthcare workers and lower cost for the hospitals whenever they want to build new facilities or upgrade their current facilities, kan? Something like that, lah. Okay. So that's the significance. All right. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Right. Okay, and then next is Dr. Weil. All right, neuroprotective effects of edible bird's nest utilizing PGF, PAMM, and dreamers as a brain targeting drug delivery system in MPTP induced Parkinson's disease zebrafish model.
Dr. Wai is
Alright.
not here, Prof, but I'm in his team.
Okay. All right. EBN tu dah betul lah, you tahu edible bird's nest by EBN, but the rest FGF, PAM, MPTP tu kalau boleh you need to mention the what they actually mean lah, right? Rather than the abbreviation terus. Kalau tak jadi have no idea what you're doing exactly, right? Then secondly, kalau you dah put those in, it can become very long the title. You may need to condense it a little bit. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. You are looking at this using a zebrafish model.
Yeah.
That should not be the endpoint. All right. That should be a methodology that you're going to use. Shouldn't be an endpoint. Bila I baca this title, macam that's it lah. I just want to do this so I can look at the disease, Parkinson's disease in a zebrafish model. That's it. Macam tak ada clinical relevance, right? So you should be talking about elucidating the neuroprotective effect of edible bird's nest in Parkinson's disease, right? Parkinson's disease, for example, right? Then dalam your methodology, you go lah. You want to utilize PGF, PAMM, dedrimers, and then you want to do a drug delivery system, develop drug delivery system that target brain matter specifically, right? And you're doing this in an MPTP-induced Parkinson's disease zebrafish model. Okay. That's your methodology. Shouldn't be in the title.
Okay.
Otherwise, the title become too heavy. It doesn't sound. So you just want to look at zebrafish for what? I'm going to give you 200,000 ringgit to look at the zebrafish punya problem. Tak ada kan? You want to look at Parkinson's disease per se kan? Betul lah?
Yes.
Alright. So elucidating the mechanism of the neuroprotective mechanism of edible bird's nest in Parkinson's disease. So you can elaborate a little bit more lah. Okay. But then the rest goes into the methodology.
Okay.
So, right. And your methodology doesn't have to be detailed. You want to do 10 groups, each one group like this, on this number, that number. Executive summary. Is the executive summary. Kalau boleh, you methodology, one sentence for each objective. Two saja. All right. Not the whole, not summarize the whole methodology in 3 sentences. Not that way juga, okay? Okay. So kalau I lah, you put in the problem statement why Parkinson is a big problem now. However, there's still a lot of issues with identifying the cause of Parkinson and also making sure that you can have a pharmaceutical product that is effective against preventing it or treating it. What is your target? Prevention or treatment now? Roslina?
Yes.
Your target, prevention or treatment?
Actually, treatment.
Treatment, all right, okay. So you state lah, you have a problem, there are issues with treatment because there's no specific or really good pharmaceutical drugs or products that can treat this disease, right? Okay. However, edible bird's nest has been known to have a good effect with or at molecular level for brain function, right? So this study will look at to determine the EBN punya neuroprotective effects, right? Okay, so the objectives of the study is you want to you want to investigate what the EBN tu dah ada ke you kena develop the
EBN tu dah ada.
EBN tu right? Okay, and then you ada MAO B inhibitor sekali you nak combine kan? You gonna make sure that is mentioned in the problem statement why MAO B inhibitor you want to use it. Is it already in use, but the punya effect is not so good, so you want to enhance the effect using EBN ke macam mana? Right? Okay. Right. And then so the objective is you want to look at the you want to formulate look at the formulation of EBN and MAOB yang suitable. All right. Okay, that's the first specific objective. Second objective, then once you determine the formulation yang with the exact percentage of EBN, exact percentage of MAOB inhibitors, then you want to test it. You want to test it through zebrafish or based on the literature, but maybe you want to do it in vitro first, all right? In vitro first, then baru go into in vivo zebrafish will be the third objective, right? So your methodology is the formulation punya part first, second part is the in vitro study, third part is the in vivo study in the zebrafish model. All right. Okay. Expected output quantification, new knowledge on treatment of Parkinson's disease and the effectiveness of MAOB, enhancement of MAOB inhibitors as a treatment option. Okay, leading to either a patent ke atau publication ke or a PhD student ke whatever lah, right? Okay, and then significance, all right, can be further work can be done, or this will be initial work for further development of a product that can be licensed or registered as a treatment for Parkinson's disease, which will have a better effect to treat this disease and or reverse its effects in patients so that they will have better quality of life and so on. So that's the significance, right?
Okay.
So you buat in that way, 300 words.
Okay.
Okay, right. Next one, Dr. Rizwan tadi. I think okay, Rizwan, anything else you want to, like I said, it's not sesuai for FRGS. You might want to divide it into 3 separate projects, link together and apply for TRGS.
Kalau if I going to push for FRGS, macam mana, Prof? Do you think you still boleh try to go through fundamental to make it fundamental?
No. Tak boleh. First of all, because you're developing an SOP module, a guideline, which is not fundamental at all.
Okay.
Cannot fundamental at all. Okay, so the fundamental part is tengok balik No, there's nothing fundamental at all.
Okay.
Yeah, I can say, but I think TRGS boleh ni, right? TRGS boleh, right? The first part, the questionnaire, it can be done from someone in allied health science.
Okay.
Then the second part, focus group discussion, maybe someone can do it from IRK, psychology, for example, for focus group discussion. Okay, all right. Because you're looking at healthcare worker, representative from healthcare worker, various part, and put them all together. So someone from IRK can do that. The focus group discussion, which is social science study. And then the third part, you can do it. You're going to do a pilot project where you want to validate whether this is going to have some clinical benefit or not to the patient, whether from biomechanical point of view ataupun dia punya fitness level ke atau stress test ke whatever lah.
Okay.
So you divide that way, boleh TRGS. FRGS will not work. Okay.
Okay, noted, bro.
Alright, okay. I'm going to quickly go through the one you just sent, Dr. Rosina. The other 2.
Okay, Prof.
Dua ni ke?
Ya, dua tu.
Okay, right. So we open the exploring the therapeutic potential of essential oil as an adjunctive treatment for nicotine dependence in e-cigarette users. Okay. Okay, can be tailored to make it very fundamental, all right? You not so much to explore, you want to actually look at the mechanism, elucidate the mechanism properly, bukan nak explore sound macam suka-suka je. Kalau okay, tak okay tak apa. I just want to explore je, alright? Tak ada. You want to, based on previous papers, you kata essential oils have been shown to be effective adjunctive therapy in intentional cigarette cessation. There must be papers that say this kan, that you refer to in your main application, right? So that's why you want to do this. Because there are papers people have said this is done. So your fundamental work is you want to look at what the effect it has at the mesolimbic dopaminergic system, right? So you need to have your objective, right? So kalau I will say elucidating the mechanism of essential oil on the mesolimbic dopaminergic system for treatment of nicotine dependence. Okay, that's the title. That's the main objective, more or less. Specific objective is you want to look at you want to look how it affects dopamine levels, then how it affects brain waves, and to do this, your methodology, you will be having patients or volunteers where you take in whatever blood or fluid that you want to investigate and do whatever test to show the dopamine levels. Then at the same time, brain waves, then you have to do using something else kan, you have to do look at EEG ke apa ke whatever to look at the brain waves and say that there is a definite change or improvement based on whatever papers and whatever criteria that you have, right? And then baru you sebut the outcome. The outcome is you're going to have new knowledge on how for the treatment of nicotine dependence in patients, PhD student, papers, and also maybe intellectual property that you want to file or patent you want to file. Okay, the significance is it can lead to treatment, better treatment, adjunctive treatment for nicotine dependence in e-cigarette users, which will at the end of the day reduce the number of morbidities associated with nicotine dependence and also with e-cigarette use. That's the significance of it, rather than put it in the title per se, right? Okay, the title should be on the fundamental work, which is to look at the mechanism of essential oil on the dopaminergic system for the treatment of nicotine dependence. All right. Okay. Whoever this is, I hope you're listening.
The author is there, Prof, but she doesn't want to be known.
Tak apa. All right. So listen, take note, and then I hope okay. Kalau ada questions, susah lah kalau tak boleh tanya macam ni masa ni. But I hope you get the gist of what I'm trying to say. Okay. Next one. Genomic profiling in stunted children, identifying biomarkers for improved diagnosis and treatment. This one a little bit difficult.
Okay.
Okay, actually boleh. Alright, but you doing molecular work, bioinformatics
Yes.
punya work. So you should be focusing on that in the title and in the methodology. Don't say for improving diagnosis and treatment. That is the expected, the significance of the output later on. Okay. Your objective now is you want to do the bioinformatics bioinformatics work necessary to identify potential biomarkers for the diagnosis and treatment of this type of patient, right? Okay. So how you going to do it? What are the objectives? You want to do gene expression, epigenomic analysis to identify positional markers. So how am I going to do it? I'm going to do it using this method. Then the second one, right? Okay, the second objective, maybe you want to look at how this underlying genetic mechanism affects stunting. All right, and I'm going to do it this way using this methodology. Right, so you try to separate that way. So you doing bioinformatic work, all right, which will be the focus of the title and the study. All right, not so much for the use of it later, right? Because you're doing the fundamental work. Whether it's going to be helpful or not, you don't know lagi, you tak tahu lagi. Right? But the significance is if you can get the new knowledge, the output, the new knowledge output, then the significance is you can have improved diagnosis and treatment. Right? But this work, you're looking at the fundamental part of it. You want to look at the work out the mechanism or the genetic profile and identify the biomarkers in this group of patients, right? Okay, I think that is okay. Boleh, Dr. Rizlina?
Boleh, Prof.
Boleh? Understood, eh? Right, okay. I think that's it. Tak ada lagi. Any questions before we close? It's already past time. Right? Any questions before we close?
So any question? There's one question from Dr. Azwani in the chat box, Prof. Is it better to collaborate with researcher within UIA or other universities?
To me, it's better with UIA because you have an expert in okay, I ambil Dr. Fazli. Fazli, okay, boleh? I use you as a example.
Boleh.
You have kuliah engineering in UIA. UIA has been longer around than UMP, but maybe UMP has better people with more experience or more expertise in the area that you want to look at. Tak ada masalah. Tapi if you can find someone in engineering to be part, better, because part and parcel of having research grant is to improve the university punya capability juga, right? But another part is also to have better networking, research networking. So it's not to say one or the other is better. If you have someone in the university that you can work with, alhamdulillah, proceed. But if you have someone, because kuliah engineering in Gombak, UMP is in Pekan, nearer, tak ada masalah. Work with UMP, easier. Kalau tak, a lot of your grant have to go on travelling. Dr. Fazli have to go to Gombak every month. Someone from Gombak have to come every month. Lepas tu nak kena claim lah, ni lah, tu lah. Masuk tadi tu, lepas tu dia reject because too much money for travelling.
Tapi there's one thing that my colleagues in UMP cakap lah. Dia kata the newest FRGS, this coming FRGS ni, dia macam they are highlighting more in collaboration. Kalau you ada collaboration with other universities, dapat extra point. Macam tu lah, apa dia claim lah.
Okay. Maybe from the engineering part, that's what they were looking at. Maybe so. If they have the inside knowledge, bagus lah. Right. But like I said, bukan kata one or the other or better. You as long as you can justify, tak ada masalah. kalau katakan Dr. Fazli wants to do, I want to do something with that has to do with sewage sewage treatment punya produk kan, ataupun sewage punya byproduct. Tapi I pergi work dengan someone in UMP. Walhal dalam the same campus, you have experts in sewage treatment dekat kuliah science. Then it doesn't make sense. Alright? Okay. Tapi kalau that person is in Gombak atau walaupun dalam IIUM but in Gombak, then UMP might be a better option because easier to work with. Tak ada masalah. Alright? Like I said, like it's on a case by case basis. It's not to say have to be this way or that way. Tak ada. Alright? But if what Fazli has mentioned is true, then maybe ada added benefit kalau you ada collaborator from UMP because they looking that as a maybe bonus point or whatever kan. Alhamdulillah lah. Tak apalah. Tapi janganlah orang sebelah bilik ada tapi pergi cari orang in another university. Itu pun doesn't make sense. Okay? So case by case basis, because assessor will look at it, just makes sense. For example lah, ada previous application, dia taruh dalam dia punya application dia nak pakai di biomechanical analysis in UMP. Lepas tu I tanyalah, kita ada instrumentation kita dekat DJC, kenapa nak pergi kat UMP?
Rosak bos, rosak. Tak baiki lagi.
Okay, then you make it known. Alright, okay. So then because if someone the assessor tertanya-tanya benda, they might reject just because of that. You have another example. You want to work using SEM, scanning electron microscopy. Tapi you nak use electron microscopy dekat UMP ke, dekat UM ke, dekat UPM ke. Walhal dalam campus ada kan. So why you want to use the research money to pay to use the scanning electron microscopy in another institution? So they jadi ada discrepancy kat situ lah. So that's why you need to have you need to look at your proposal from a very broad perspective. Global view tu kena ada. So because you so focused on what you want to do, you tak nampak benda ni, you get rejected just based on that, and that's where you get frustrated. Bukan nak kata you tengok the executive summary that we go to. Bukan nak kata they all no tak boleh. Boleh. Maybe tak sesuai fundamental research, ada research grant lain, FRGS tadi. Or it's actually can be tailored to become fundamental, tapi the way you put it doesn't sound fundamental at all. Right? So you need to tailor it to make sure it fits the bill, and then your collaborators relevant. Jangan put someone in because your good friend from zaman sekolah dulu ke. Alright, no, it has to be relevant. Tak boleh I pernah look at a application. I want to do research at HTAA dengan SASMAC. Alright, tapi collaborator I duduk dekat KT, hospital kat KT. Apa kena mengena? The work is going to be done in SASMAC and HTAA, tapi your collaborator is in KT. Kalau dengan where is the relevant? Dia nak datang buat kerja dekat SASMAC dengan HCA, tak boleh. Cost money. Second, dia kena credential and privilege to work there. So pasal apa his name is there? Because kawan lama. Tak boleh lah. Kan? It doesn't make sense. So kena make sure you look at this as broad as possible and have someone to look at it for you also. Ya, kalau you buat, you tengok, maybe you tak nampak. Have someone else to have a look at it. Maybe a senior colleague in your department, right? Or your peers. Tapi jangan junior colleague lah. So either your peers or better still someone senior to look at it and they can give you advice, right? But that's why we have the internal assessing punya mechanism in the university kan, bawa RMC kan, Dr. Roslina kan.
Yes,
So hopefully someone can look at it and give a better perspective or a different perspective, and you tak nampak because you don't focus on your work, you tak nampak the other things. Right. Okay. Okay, I think.
Question, Prof.
Question,
Dr.
ada question
Hidayah
lagi?
question. Dr. Hidayah.
Sorry, Prof, just
Yes.
one small final question. Prof, I was wondering, for FRGS, can rejected previously, so not rehash, but to make it better, apply again. But in between dapat, I mean, got a smaller grant, so some of the work has been done. So is it better to mention that the second time trying you already have some preliminary results? Or
Hidayah, you ni UIA daripada undergrad sampai ke sekarang. You rasa kalau being honest is a good thing or not a good thing?
Yes,
tak payahlah nak sorok-sorok. Beritahu lah.
No, I mean when writing the FRGS again, should we does it help to say that you have some support need? Is it a help or a hindrance?
No, okay. Sekarang ni that grant that you get is which grant you talking about? Internal grant ke apa?
Internal yang 20k je.
Okay, okay, right. So you can use that. You can use that as a reference and basis. You olahkan duit, alright? That currently is an internal grant which has no problem. FRGS tak ada masalah. You ada internal grant dengan FRGS external grant tak bercanggah. Tapi you sebutlah, okay, based on the work done by apa you have done using internal grant for the last 4 or 5 months, you got disciplinary data. Now you going to expand on it further. You want to expand further on it apa semua, and this is what you want to do. You not repeat the same thing, but further work based on what has been done. Tak ada masalah. It will be very good.
It should be helpful, right, Prof?
Yes, it will be. Just write it clearly to show that what you are applying for is money to expand the work that you are already doing, and which has shown promising results. Kalau you dah publish data tu lagi bagus lah. Tapi kalau tak publish data, you being academician tu lah. Previous small study done, looking at this show promising result dalam bracket unpublished data. Boleh lah.
Okay. Bukan nak sorok, Prof, nak tanya.
Okay lah. Tak bunyinya macam tu mula-mula. Okay. Cakaplah betul-betul. Tapi you put in, so you cannot just duplicate your previous application. You can modify to reflect that you have done supplementary work using this internal grant. You found promising results, and the data is such and such unpublished data, and therefore now I want to work in your literature review punya part. I want to work to look at other aspects and whatnot, and this is what the grant is for. So this is my objective, this is my methodology, this is my budget, and it has nothing to do with the current grant. It's going to be further work on it. Alright, okay? Tak ada masalah, boleh. Alright.
So any more burning question? Okay, thank you so much, Prof. Tak ada question lagi.
Okay, alright. I think we call it a day. It's almost 5. Dah terlebih masa dah pun. Alright.
Thank you so
so
much,
I hope those of you are here have some benefit from what I have to say. And then I wish you all the best in your application. Right? And good luck. Alright. So work hard, and even you don't get it this time around, try again. Inshallah dapat. Okay. Right. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you,
Right. All
Thank
right.
you so much,
Okay.
Prof. So
Alright,
before we end, can we close our session with Tasbih Kifara and Suratul As?
Okay.
Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you so much for the question. Prof, thank you so much for your input. May Allah bless you all your good deeds. Thank you so much,
Thank
Prof.
you. All right. Okay.
Assalamualaikum, everyone.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullah.
Prof, sorry for any shortcoming, Prof.
No worries. I'm trying to scan the CPD now. Tapi I kena tunggu orang keluar so the CPD comes down. Dah boleh. Kalau tak dia hilang. Alright.
Okay dah, Prof.
Okay, attendance mark, yes, done.
Okay,
Attendance mark
alhamdulillah.
successfully. Alright.
Thank you, Prof.
Okay, welcome. Thank you, everyone. Alright. Okay, Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam, Prof.